There is anger and dismay in Britain this morning.
The Sycamore Gap Tree on Hadrian's Wall in Northumberland
has been deliberately felled.
It was one of the most photographed trees in the UK.
The tree stood there for nearly 200 years.
The tree was also a picturesque spot.
But the stump's still alive.
Lying on its side.
A piece of history.
It was such a shock. I think I screamed. It felt like a death. My name's Catherine Cape and I'm originally from Newcastle, but I've lived here in Tynedale for about 22 years now. The Hiddle hut is a two-storey stargazing cabin for romantic getaways. Hiddle is a word from Middle English. It's a very old word. It means a place of safety and sanctuary. You would go to hide somewhere, and that's what I wanted. I wanted that place where people could just nest down and not think about the world outside. So weekends, rather than paying to go out to different places, we would walk. And because we lived up here in such a beautiful, iconic place, that was no hardship at all. So when Phoebe was in the backpack, she took some of her first steps at the base of the tree. Once we got to the tree, we'd always take a little picnic, little snacks and things for the kids. And so we'd taken her out, and she'd only taken a couple of steps previously, but we took her out the backpack, and she took her first proper big steps there. During COVID, we suffered 2 bereavements. My mum fell on the first day of lockdown, so we were actually with my mum. We were there for 3 days before she died. We were with her when she died. And then, tragically, 4 months later, my sister Helen died. She was diagnosed with cancer again. It was during a lockdown. She wasn't allowed to have anybody with her. She was told on her own. And she was told in the July, and she died on the 23rd of September. The only way that I could get to see my nephews and my brother-in-law is if we walked outside. You were allowed to meet to walk, and we'd walk to the tree, and back around it's a nice circular walk as well. It was important during those times that we did that, so it came to mean something more to us in that time. And our daughter had seen it, and she came running downstairs and said, "Have you seen the Sycamore Gap Tree is blown down?" And I said, "No, it hasn't." And she showed me the pictures, and I said, "No, that's not the Sycamore Gap Tree, because for a start, that tree's been cut down. You can see it's been cut, so it's not. It won't have blown down. It's a 300-year-old tree. It's not going to blow down." My husband said, "I'll drive you up. We'll go together." And our daughter came with us. And all the way up there, I kept thinking, "It can't be true. It won't be true. It won't be true. It won't be true." And then we drove past and could clearly see it being cut. And I remember, I think I screamed, and Phoebe, I could hear her wailing behind me in the car. It was just such a shock. It felt like a death. I think because I was so proud of it, and I was so proud to live here, and it became part of our identity. You almost feel sort of like a patron of it. So I had a huge sense of loss, and it felt very personal. It almost felt like an attack. A lot of people said, "Oh, it's like having the Tyne Bridge destroyed." Well, it's not, because the Tyne Bridge could be rebuilt, whereas this is a tree that stood there for generations, and it's somewhere I thought I would take my grandchildren, you know, and it would become part of them. It's part of my children's lives, and I didn't feel angry. I just felt deep sadness. I would love to see a living tree there again. We need to preserve the remnants of the tree. The stump needs to be protected because it could still evolve. The fact that the tree is gone, we now have to reconcile with that and come to terms with it. And I don't know whether we'll ever get over that. Lives perceived at different speeds down at the Sycamore Gap, where glacial ice had scarred the land, an ancient tree used to stand. A sycamore full of life and love, with the star-clad coloured sky above. It had made its home by the Roman wall, where its autumn leaves used to fall. Under its branches had been kisses and tears. From a seed it grew for hundreds of years. It had seen kings born and seen queens die. 2 world wars flew over its sky. One day a man wrote its name on a map. This beautiful scene coined the Sycamore Gap. The tree, it was Northumberland's heart depicted in song, photo and art, where some asked to be left for eternal life and others asked, will you be my wife? Millions of years since the glacial melt, thousands of years since the wall was built, hundreds of years the sycamore enjoyed. It took a single night to be destroyed. That ancient tree meant more to me than roots, bark, leaves and sap. Time was perceived differently down at the Sycamore Gap.